There's a lot of reason to have gold in your portfolio. That, according to Robert Sinn, he is the founder of Goldfinger Capital. He is also a great follow on Twitter at CEO Technician. Robert, welcome to Kitco.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Tell us about the macro environment right now. What are you looking at for 2024?
Well, as my presentation of a couple hours ago, I really like gold and copper for this year. I think China is going to do a lot of stimulus to help their economy along, which is really struggling right now. And I think the Fed is about to pivot. And I think gold and copper are the perfect combos. You have the metal that the world needs for progress and growth of economies, and gold, the timeless store of value with no counterparty risk. So those are my two best ideas, for the year, I would say.
That's kind of a sweet spot for some of these people as well, too, because copper often comes with gold as well. So you're looking at being able to play both sides.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. A lot of gold miners like Barrick and Newmont are getting into copper. They're acquiring copper projects and smaller mining companies that have copper mines, right? Diversifying their revenue streams a bit, so it's not just so gold heavy. And actually, I think Freeport is the simplest way to play copper and gold. A mining company that has actually done a good job of, generating shareholder value over the long run, where a lot of them haven't.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that they've got some really great mines, and they're very copper and gold heavy.
How do you want to look at being able to play the sector going forward right now? So obviously, like, the juniors are in the dumps right now. So do you look at that space, or does it take a little bit more time to play out?
I'm definitely a player in the junior mining sector. Definitely dabble in it, or more than just dabble. The junior mining sector, there's always opportunities. There's 1,000 companies, right? There's always opportunities. So the challenge is filtering through all these opportunities, which are opportunities to lose money and to make money, right? It's both ways. I think there are a lot of opportunities in the junior mining sector right now. I had a couple of the companies on stage there with me. And I'm more focused on copper and gold and porphyry, discovery plays where you have very large scale, the sort of scale that a major mining company, would be interested in.
Talk a little bit more about why you're bullish on copper. So you did make the case, Wells, that you are going to be seeing some stimulus that's going to be coming out of China. But is there also a supply picture right now as well, too? The copper has been underperforming just because there's been the spate of all of that bad news that has come out of China because of the macroeconomic environment. But the people are talking about the story with energy transition. They're also talking about supply. I will say, though, that we have seen a series of mines that have come online that is actually when we have seen the ramping up supply. So there's going to be QB2 that's going to be coming out of Teck, for instance, and then also the ramp up of what's happening with Ivanhoe. But I assume that's going to be coming to a close. It's just that we're finally going to see energy transition take place.
Yeah, there are a few large mines that are coming online or have come online. And there's also a lot of, existing mines that are getting older and lower grade and higher cost to mine. So, the supply picture has changed a lot in the last few months. 2024 was supposed to be a year where copper was well supplied, where there was a surplus. And that swung the other way in the last 3 months with Cobre Panama, 350,000 metric tons coming offline. And a lot of big copper mining companies missed their targets in Q3 and Q4 of last year. So from a 200,000 ton surplus to about a 500,000 ton deficit, that's a big difference. We're talking about $6 billion of copper there. It's a big difference. And I don't see the supply to meet that challenge at $3.75 a pound. So the market will balance itself, but the question is always, at what price is it going to balance itself? At what price do people turn in their scrap, copper, or mines go into lower grade ore bodies? And I don't think it happens at $3.75. I think $3.75 is a real bargain price for copper, and so it's a situation where the world is going green. At least that's what we're being told by everybody. It's going green. Very copper intensive process. And the supply is just not really there. And if you look out, Goldman Sachs or Bank of America to 2026, the deficit could be 1 million, metric tons, which is, gigantic.
And it is interesting you mentioned the 375 because I think I've heard somewhere as well, miners are looking at a solid price of around $4 or north of it to actually start developing or kind of dusting off these projects that they're seeing. Just wanted to ask you though, Robert, is there any particular mines that you're looking at in terms of, would you see a premium? Would you see opportunities in North America, for example, because of either security of supply, being tied up to a green grid, or are you just looking everywhere in terms of cost?
I really like the U.S. I like Arizona, and I like Idaho.
Yeah.
There was a new discovery that was just made in Idaho, blind copper porphyry. The symbol of the company is big on the venture, and Barrick snapped up a big stake in the company on one drill hole. And that just shows you how hungry these big mining companies are. The fact that Barrick would put $30 million, into a company on one drill hole.
Yeah.
It's surreal. I've never seen that. I've been in this business for 20 years. I've never seen Barrick write a check that big to a small company on one drill hole. But I love Arizona. It's a copper, mining state. And I think there's a lot more copper to be found, there in that state. You have great infrastructure. You have, all the labor that you could possibly need. It's just the challenge is it's higher cost, and the permitting process is quite thorough.
Uranium just was on a tear in 2023 as well too. Does uranium still have room to run?
That's a great question. Uranium, the move from 50 to 100 a pound seemed like it just had to happen. It kind of seemed obvious, and it eventually did. It just took a long time. You talk to some people out there, and they say it can go to 200 or 300 easily, just because again, the mine supply is just not there, and these utilities, they need to buy the fuel for their plants, and they have no choice. They have to buy in the market. They have to, meet their contracts, and so it could force the price up quite a bit. I would offer a little bit of caution in the actual companies like a Cameco or something. The valuation there, I think it's very fully priced. Could it run higher if the spot price keeps going to 150 or 200? Yeah, of course it could. But I think honestly, Cameco at $50 a share is priced for 150 spot at this point. So it's already factored in.
Silver, are we going to see a kick in terms of it being an industrial metal?
Silver is a tricky one because you talk to a lot of people who focus on the silver space, and they talk about how much silver that we need in the next decade for solar, this and that. But silver is also a monetary, metal, so I don't think that's as big of a driver as a lot of people think. If I just go off chart technicals, I think the gold chart is much more positive than the silver chart, and for silver to really break out and look like gold does now, I think we'd have to get above $27 a pound. Central banks don't buy silver, they buy gold. And I think that's why there's such a big gap there. I know the silver bugs say, gold silver ratio 90 to 1 or 75 to 1 is too high. It's got to get down to 30 to 1. It doesn't have to do anything. And actually, you look at the last decade, it's almost never been 30 to 1. So I'm more cautious on silver, I would say. I'm much more positive on gold and copper.
What's some of your top ideas right now in space?
I think Freeport McMoran, like I said, I think that is like, if you just want to make it simple and let's go large cap, lower risk, but still with plenty of, leverage to the gold and copper price, I think you go Freeport. I'm going to say another major company that I think people are going to laugh at and maybe even, throw eggs at, and that would be, Newmont, which has been a horrible performer for the last couple of years. It topped in March 2022 at like $78 a share. It's at 34 right now, more than cut in half.
Yeah.
Terrible performance and very much hated. I think the sentiment is extremely weak.
I think we should also just mention as well too, because they did the takeout with Newcrest, and then by long shot now making the largest gold producer. So.
Yeah, by far the largest gold producer with also a lot of copper. And that's actually why I like them a bit more here. Just a contrarian play. I'll take it at 34, put a stop under 30. If it goes under 30, I'm wrong. If it goes back to 40, I'm right. So those would be big cap ideas. Small cap, so I had the companies here. American Eagle Gold, copper and gold as well in BC. Copper porphyry play.
Yeah.
Think it's a good one.
Robert, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My name is Michael McRae here at the Metals Investor Forum for Kitco Mining.